You've heard Japan is efficient, clean, advanced, but what if the real reason it feels different is something you can't even see? Why do ordinary moments there feel strangely perfect, almost engineered? In this video, you'll discover the hidden systems Japan quietly perfected, the ones most people overlook. And once you notice them, you won't look at your own daily life the same way again. How Japan makes tiny spaces feel genius. In most countries, small spaces feel like compromise. In Japan, they feel like intention. Step into a Tokyo apartment barely larger than a single room, and instead of chaos, you find precision. Every inch has a role. Sliding doors replace swinging ones. Furniture folds, stacks, or disappears completely. Storage isn't added. It's hidden within the structure itself. But what makes this different isn't just design. It's mindset. Space is treated as something to respect, not dominate. There's no obsession with more, only with better. And that changes how people live. You begin to notice how movement flows naturally, how nothing blocks your path, how even silence feels built into the room. It's not about making small spaces feel big. It's about making them feel complete. And once you see it, larger homes in other parts of the world start to feel strangely inefficient, like they were never truly thought through. Why Japan lives more deeply. Through the seasons. In many places, seasons are background. In Japan, they are structure. Spring isn't just warmer weather. It's cherry blossoms, specific foods, and rituals tied to a moment that will disappear in days. Autumn isn't just falling leaves, it's colors, flavors, and quiet reflection. Even convenience stores change their entire offerings to match the season. What's fascinating is how temporary everything feels. Limited time sweets, seasonal packaging, menus that vanish after a few weeks. It creates urgency, not stress, but awareness. You don't postpone experiences because you know they won't last. This constant cycle trains people to notice time differently, to appreciate what's here now before it quietly leaves. And that's what most of the world has lost. Elsewhere, everything is always available, always repeatable. But in Japan, life moves in phases, and that makes even the simplest moment feel like something you might never get back again. The art of packaging. Japan took to another level. In most countries, packaging is waste. In Japan, it's communication. Open a simple box and you're not just unwrapping a product, you're experiencing a sequence. Layers reveal themselves slowly, each one cleaner, more precise than the last. Even something as small as a snack is arranged with symmetry and care. But it goes deeper than aesthetics. Packaging reflects respect for the item and for the person receiving it. Nothing is rushed, nothing feels careless, and that changes perception. A basic item suddenly feels premium, not because it is expensive, but because it was handled thoughtfully. What's surprising is how consistent this is. From luxury goods to everyday purchases, the same level of detail appears. It trains you to expect quality, even in places where you normally wouldn't. And once you experience that, where poorly packaged items elsewhere start to feel incomplete, like something important was skipped. The lost art of silence, Japan, still understands. Silence has almost disappeared in much of the world. Phones buzz, conversations overlap, noise fills every gap. But in Japan, silence still exists. And more importantly, it's protected. Step onto a crowded train and you'll notice something unusual. People are present, but not intrusive. Conversations are quiet. Phones are muted. No one tries to dominate the space. It's not enforced by rules, it's maintained by awareness. An understanding that shared spaces belong to everyone. And that changes the entire experience. Instead of tension, there's calm. Instead of distraction, there's room to think. What's powerful is how this behavior spreads. One quiet space creates another. It becomes self-sustaining. And once you've felt it, the contrast is impossible to ignore. you begin to realize how much unnecessary noise you've been living with, and how different life feels when it's finally removed. How Japan perfected the everyday object. Most products around the world are built to function. In Japan, they're built to be used well. There's a difference. A pen isn't just something that writes, it's balanced, smooth, almost effortless in your hand. A simple kitchen tool feels intuitive the moment you pick it up. Nothing demands adjustment, nothing feels awkward. This level of refinement comes from obsession with small details, tiny improvements repeated over time. And because of that, even ordinary objects feel complete. What's interesting is that this doesn't make things complicated. It makes them simpler, cleaner, more natural. You don't notice the design because it works so well. And that's the point. The goal isn't to impress you, it's to disappear into your routine. But once you experience it, you start noticing the opposite elsewhere. Products that feel unfinished, slightly off, or unnecessarily difficult. And suddenly, the everyday object doesn't feel so ordinary anymore. The community discipline. Most countries lost long ago. In many places, rules exist because people don't trust each other. In Japan, order exists because people expect something from themselves. Streets stay clean not because someone is constantly watching, but because individuals take responsibility for the space around them. Neighborhoods operate with an almost invisible coordination. Trash is sorted carefully. Public areas are respected. Small actions, repeated daily, can create a larger system that doesn't need a heavy enforcement. What makes this powerful is that it feels natural, not forced. There's no loud display of discipline, just consistency. And that consistency builds trust. When everyone participates, even in small ways, the environment begins to maintain itself. But when you compare it to other places, the difference becomes clear. Without that shared responsibility, systems break down quickly. And that's what Japan quietly demonstrates. That order doesn't come from control. It comes from collective awareness. Why Japanese stations work better than small cities. A major train station in Japan isn't just a transit point. It's a living system. Shops, restaurants, services, pathways, all layered into a space that handles thousands of people without collapsing into chaos. What stands out isn't the size, it's the flow. Movement feels guided, even when no one is directing you. Signs are clear, paths are logical. Congestion dissolves instead of building. It's design built around human behavior, not against it. And because of that, the experience feels almost effortless. You're never fully lost, even in unfamiliar places. Compare that to many cities where movement feels stressful, unclear, or inefficient. The difference isn't just infrastructure, it's intention. Japanese stations are designed to anticipate problems before they happen. And once you've experienced that level of coordination, you start questioning why so many other systems feel like they were never designed for people at all. How Japan kept old crafts alive in a modern world. In most countries, tradition fades when modern life takes over. In Japan, it adapts. Centuries-old crafts still exist, but they're not frozen in time. They evolve. Techniques are preserved, but applied to modern needs. A handmade item isn't just nostalgic, it's functional, relevant. This balance is difficult to achieve. Too much focus on the past, and it becomes a museum piece. Too much focus on the future, and history disappears. Japan manages both, and that creates something unique. You're not just buying an object, you're experiencing a lineage. Skills passed down, refined, and still respected. What's striking is how this value system continues to survive in a fast-moving world. While other cultures struggle to hold on to their traditions, Japan integrates them seamlessly. And once you notice that, you begin to realize how much has already been lost elsewhere. Why Japanese food feels different, even when it's simple. In many places, food is about quantity or intensity. In Japan, it's about balance. A simple meal isn't overloaded with flavors. It's carefully structured. Texture matters. Temperature matters. Even the order in which you eat can change the experience. What makes this powerful is how subtle it is. Nothing feels overwhelming. Instead, everything works together. A small dish can feel more satisfying than a large one elsewhere because it's complete. There's intention behind every element, and this extends beyond restaurants. Even basic meals carry this same approach. It trains you to notice details you might normally ignore. The contrast between soft and crisp, warm and cool, light and rich. And once you become aware of that, eating stops being automatic. It becomes something you actually experience, something most of the world has quietly lost. How Japan turned disaster readiness into culture. Preparedness in many countries feels reactive. In Japan, it's embedded into daily life. Earthquake drills, emergency kits, public awareness. These aren't occasional, they're routine. But what makes this different isn't fear. It's normalization. Being ready isn't treated as extreme. It's expected. This creates a population that responds quickly, calmly, and collectively when something happens. Systems don't need to be invented in the moment. They're already understood. And that reduces chaos. It reduces panic. It turns a potential breakdown into a coordinated response. What's striking is how quietly this is maintained. There's no constant alarm, just consistent preparation. And once you compare that to places where readiness is ignored until it's too late, the gap becomes obvious. Japan doesn't wait for disaster to act. It builds readiness into the culture itself. Why Japan makes temporary things feel unmissable. Most products are designed to stay. In Japan, many are designed to disappear. Limited time items aren't rare. They're constant. Seasonal snacks, exclusive releases, short-lived experiences. And because they don't last, they matter more. You don't delay, you don't assume it will be there tomorrow. This creates a different kind of engagement. People pay attention. They participate. Even something small becomes an event. What's powerful is how this changes perception. Scarcity isn't artificial. It's built into the rhythm of life, and that makes everyday moments feel more significant. In contrast, when everything is always available, nothing feels urgent. Nothing feels special. Japan flips that completely, and once you experience it, permanence starts to feel less exciting than something you might only get once. The secret design rules behind everyday Japanese life. At first, nothing stands out. Everything feels normal. But the longer you look, the more you notice a pattern. Objects are placed with purpose. Spaces flow naturally. Even small interactions feel smoother than they should. This isn't random. It's design, applied quietly, everywhere. Not for attention, but for function. Life is structured in a way that reduces friction. Small inconveniences are removed before you even experience them, and that creates something subtle but powerful. Comfort without excess, efficiency without stress. It's not about being the most advanced, it's about being the most considered. And once you recognize that pattern, it becomes impossible to ignore. You start seeing the gaps in your own environment, the things that could have been better, smoother, easier. And that's when it hits you. The difference wasn't obvious, but it was always there. Now you see it. Not the obvious parts everyone talks about, but the hidden systems quietly shaping how life feels in Japan. So the real question is, what would your world look like if even a few of these ideas existed around you? Because once you notice the difference, it's hard to ignore, and even harder to go back.